Mr. Nicholas S.A. Menu, founder and chief executive officer (CEO) of Cookclean Ghana Limited, has stated that Cookclean Ghana Limited is focused on sustainable cooking solutions to save women from hardship, the smoke and other factors that contribute to environmental pollutions, and also geared at creating employment. He said climate change has become a problem not to the rich but to the poor, who bear the brunt of the climate change in circumstances where there are no water and no constant rainfall to enable them grow their foods. Mr. Menu further revealed that the mission of Cookclean Ghana Limited is to abate some of these unforeseen occurrences and find a way of curbing them in the near future. Our core value is to protect the citizens, starting from our own workers, he stated.
I saw the plight of a little girl who could have been in the classroom, but fetching firewood for the family. And for the firewood she was fetching was not even good to be used as firewood. So all the time this has engaged my attention, and I decided to dive into the world of cooking. And that's where I discovered that there's a lot to be done, and that's where I started. And that's well, our vision and ambition and our mission is to devise a cooking method that can save women from the hardships, the smoke, also to contribute to environmental degradation, and very, very importantly, our ecosystem integrity, which is already under fire. Ghana has lost a lot of forests since 1990 to date. More than 80% of our forest is gone, and there's a need to do something. So we have a mission to save this situation, also to mitigate climate change. Climate change is a problem not only for the rich, even for the poor. The poor bear the brunt of the climate change, because when there's no water, when there's no rain, their food they cannot plant, their land becomes barren, and the flood, when the flood comes, they are the one who suffer because they don't have any means as compared to a rich guy who may fly away or go to another place. So our mission is to reduce these, some are foreseen, some are unforeseen problems. So that is the main reason why we term that as our mission. Our core value is to protect the citizens, starting from our own workers. We have a very stringent policy, and therefore our core value is to protect human life. Every business, no matter how small, whether a small farmer or a small gari seller or somebody who is selling what we call the sachet water on the street, they all have their problems. And basically, since our business is capital intensive, the problem is very huge. I think we might have given you some insight of how we develop carbon project. And before you develop a carbon project, before even you sell one stove, you must have made an investment of over $150,000. That is to say, to go through all the problems, all the registration, validation of your project, the piloting, testing. You might have spent a lot of money before you've sold one stove, and that does not give you the guarantee that your project will be successful. So the challenges are many, and we started humbly. We did all part of it ourselves before we got in to get outside partners who also contributed to the challenges. So the main challenge is finance, but we were able to overcome that. The success is seen, we at Cookclean, we say we want to put a smile on a child's face. The child that is behind the mother must smile when it's at the back of the mother and the mother is cooking, so that normally the child will cry because the smoke will enter the eyes and you will be crying and so on. But that gives us the admiration, that is the success we see, that our project, our business is yielding results, not necessarily the monetary aspect, but how we put joy on people's face. And the milestone that we have achieved is that we've been able to distribute over 200,000 stores. We have been able to avoid 1.1 million tons of CO2, carbon dioxide emission into the atmosphere. So these are the successes we can be proud of. Very simple. When we look at the stoves that before our entrance to the market, we had different stove, what we call the Jico type. And this Jico type is made with scrap metal, with clay and everything. The cladding of the liners, we call it clay liners. Clay liners are the liners we put in to conserve the heat, so that even if the food is not cooking or if the fire is gone, you still have some heat to conserve it and to prolong the cooking. So at Cookclean, we decided to make changes. Our changes involve, putting, the first product we made was to put what we call a post skirt, because the post skirt has a function that before the fire leaves the the stove, it hits the pot, so that it contributes to more or less 30% of the efficiency. Now with this new Boja stove, our stove is called Boja. Boja in Chi language means that give me fire, Bombija. So this stove is conceived in a manner that you can regulate the speed of the cooking. If you're cooking something that you need to cook faster, you open the door. It's just like a car carburetor. The more you speed, the more you spend fuel. So if you want to conserve energy, or maybe the food, some food that cook gently, or when the food is cooked and is done, you cannot leave it on fire the whole time. It has to calm down, simmer for some time. So with our stove, when you close the door, or you close the door to halfway, then the energy or the air that goes into the combustion chamber is reduced. So with that, the food cooks gently and you save fuel. And if the food is cooked, you close the door and the fire will quench itself, so that you can always monitor what you are cooking and the speed you use to cook. This helps you to save fuel or energy, and also conserve the food. If, let's say, the husband, the children, or the wife is not there, you close it, you still have heat in the clay liner that will simmer for some time before the food. So our stove also has what we have also raised the bottom, so that there will be air passing under the stove, so that normally if it is not the case, it will start to rust, because when there's heat and there's cold, they get together, become wet, and then the metal begins to rust. But we have avoided this because there's air passing through, so there's always a automatic cooling system. Yes, our stove is accessible because, as my PE might have told you earlier on, we subsidize the stoves. The stove price actually will have been around 300 Ghana cedis, but because we're using carbon finance for the project, we are capable of subsidizing the stove. So the stove is sold at 50 Ghana cedis to everybody. And now we go straight to the end user. That's why we have these vehicles. Now we have 3 electric vehicles we're using. We have imported 6 additional ones, making it 10. And we go straight to the homes, to the end user, to sell the product. So we go to markets, we go to places where otherwise it would be difficult to go. Because also the very important thing is that we need to educate the user why the user is buying that stove. So we tell them, especially those in the villages, we exemplify the issues that they face. Myself coming from the village, if you go to my mother's or our village people kitchen, you see the whole thing is black. And then they will use this red paint to paint that small portion to show that the place is clean. So what we try to bring to them to make them feel that there's something that is happening, we tell them to look at the kitchen. The color of the kitchen tells them what their lungs are. So they easily, collate with actually what we are telling them for them to believe yes. But some of them also tell us they have headache, they have eyes, or they have a whole lot of problems. So some of them are aware of the problems they are facing, but the intervention wasn't there. So they appreciate and accept what we do. So I think the acceptance is overwhelming because, as we said, we produce 10,000 stoves a month. We sell 10,000 stoves every month. And the fact that we give 1 year guarantee, even though we write 1 year guarantee, but because the program is for 5 years, even the 4th year, if a user comes and says my stove is not working, we change it. Some remarks of some of the users where they will give reference to what we have done. And besides, as community proceed, we have built a 45-seater computer lab in a village in Ahafo, where the commissioning will be taking place very soon. We built the whole building was financed by us. The computer and everything is financed by us. And we also have a child at Manfo School for the Deaf here, and we have sponsoring this child for the last, I think, 5 years or 6 years. And we do, when we go to community, we do a lot of things like Bobby Kope. We went there, we gave the whole village free stoves. So we, any place we go, if we see somebody who is incapable of buying a stove, we give it free. So that's one of the things we do to help the communities. Well, I have a very simple leadership. I'm a very liberal person in general, and I leave my staff, the managers, the responsible positions, to take their own decision to carry the staff along with them. And also I have a very open eyes and ears. I listen to every problem that comes. Everybody can walk into my office and tell me his or her problem, and then with combination with the heads, we find solution to such problems.
Thank you for watching Nation One TV. Kindly subscribe for more news updates.